Hello, friends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to my study on the 8 limbs of yoga and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Today, we're going to talk about beyond the 8 limbs of yoga as a philosophy, knowing how to live yoga off the mat and what that means for you, whether you're a yogi, yogini, yoga teacher in training, or you run a yoga teacher training program or a yoga studio. Let's talk about that. Of course, I'm the author of The 8 Limbs of Yoga for Modern Times, a practical guide to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. This is available in all formats. It's also available on Ingram Spark as well as Amazon. If you're new to my YouTube channel, I want to welcome you here. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. If you go to my website, I have plenty of resources for yoga teachers. I'm going to put that link below. You can download a free PDF file of a cheat sheet of the 8 limbs of yoga. If you've been following along with my 8 limbs of yoga study on this channel and the playlist, which has all of the videos, you know that mostly the Yoga Sutras and the 8 limbs of yoga is compiled into an entire philosophy. And I want to help you understand how to take this yoga philosophy that maybe you just had to learn for yoga teacher training and just kind of memorize so you could take a test on it, and expand that beyond the knowledge of the 8 limbs of yoga into integrating it into your daily life. Now, you might be thinking that this is a little bit difficult to do beyond yoga asana and pranayama. And in fact, it's not that difficult to do. And here's why I think it might be a good idea. In my book, The 8 Limbs of Yoga for Modern Times, I talked about how we live in this crazy, chaotic world. It is frenetic, chaotic, fast-paced, fast-moving, and with AI and instantaneous knowledge, it's only getting faster. And even videos are just faster and faster. Everybody wants the 20-second soundbite. People cannot sit still through long-form videos anymore. They can't sit still through reading an entire book anymore. They want it quick. They want it fast. Everything on social media is moving fast. Information is moving fast. Sometimes it can be easy to just get lost in the sauce, just not knowing who you are anymore, where you stand, where to get your sense of right and wrong, morality, and how to respect yourself in the process. And that's why I enjoy the structure of the 8 limbs of yoga, especially if you're not religious. There are so many people out there that are abandoning traditional religion. I'm not giving you an opinion on that, right or wrong. It's just the truth. So many people are abandoning traditional religion and they don't really know where to turn when it comes to ethical parameters, moral boundaries, personal observances, understanding how to get tranquility and peace in this crazy, chaotic world that is moving so fast. I'll give you a story. I started using ChatGPT to help me get the descriptions on my YouTube channel, then started with thumbnails and helping me build funnels and things like that. And I really enjoy this process because it works much faster than I work. However, it's so easy to get overwhelmed because the way AI works is so much faster than the human brain that it can make your human brain hurt. And I had to take a step back and say, look, if you're not working as fast as ChatGPT is giving you the answers to help modify some of these things, that is okay. That if you're not modifying a YouTube video description fast because you want to take your time, it's okay. The information is still there to optimize the search or whatever. But I was seriously getting overwhelmed because the way information works now is that it's very rapid. And it hurts our brain cells because everything is in motion. Nothing is slowed down anymore. Everything is in motion, especially with people abandoning traditional religions with communities, right? Because religions didn't only give us this sense of boundaries, moral parameters. Now, it doesn't make it right all the time, right? There are a lot of things wrong with somebody else telling you what to do and maybe how to dress or how to be, but the structure was still there. And with that structure came community and expansiveness and accountability. Fast forward to today's world where people don't have that sense of structure. The 8 limbs of yoga can help you, especially if you're a practicing yogi. It's a natural extension of your yoga asana practice to extend outward into embracing the 8 limbs of yoga as a part of your daily life to provide the structure that we are now lacking kind of as a society as a whole. As I mentioned, it's not meant to replace religion. It's not meant to be religious dogma. It's not meant to keep you in that guilt and shame cycle that a lot of religions do. But it's just a structural thing that can help you to expand your spirituality, your consciousness, while being rooted on earth and having a sense of you being a good person and knowing you're a good person, because each of the 8 limbs that build upon one another help you move toward a more disciplined way of being that holds yourself accountable. Nobody is holding you accountable but you. And so in the book, I outlined in all of the yamas and niyamas, which are the yamas, just to remind you, the yamas are the moral principles. The niyamas are the personal observances. Of course, there is asana, yoga poses, pranayama, yoga breathing or breath control, pratyahara, which is withdrawal of the senses, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi, which are one-pointed attention, focus and concentration, and absorption, total absorption. So when you look at those together as a whole and you go through all of the yamas and niyamas, you can embrace them as a practice beyond the yoga mat and help you to have those boundaries that can slow you down in this very frenetic, fast-paced world where you can feel like you're losing footing in every sense of the word. Okay, let's just take one to give you an example. So you could take, for example, one of the yamas or niyamas and practice it for an entire day or practice it for an entire week, just keeping the mindfulness of that specific one for the week. Now, I did this with the chakras. And of course, I wrote this book, Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, exploring your 7 energy centers with mindfulness, yoga, and Ayurveda. And when I wrote this book, I wanted it to be called 7 Chakras in 7 Weeks, because I started with that practice of week 1, the base chakra. Everything was about the base or the root chakra. So the yoga poses, the Ayurvedic way of eating, the grounding foods, the breathing techniques, the meditation techniques, all of those things, the colors, wearing the colors of that chakra, the stones, the gemstones. So you can do this with the yamas, niyamas, and the other limbs of yoga as well. So let's just take one, Shaucha, purity. And I like this one. So Shaucha means purity, and it's about purity and body. So making sure your body is clean. So what could that mean for you off the mat? It could be eating clean foods just for that week, even if you have a habit of eating more junk food, or maybe you crave a lot of sugar, or you crave sodas, for example, or maybe you even crave that after work drink, that glass of wine or that beer. So Shaucha would mean purifying the body, just making sure your body is nice and pure on a physical level, purifying the mind, making sure your mental space is cleared. So that could mean taking a social media detox or just not going through TikTok for an hour after work or looking at Instagram while you're on your lunch hour. It could be just, I want to read some inspirational material this week while I'm practicing Shaucha. So that's one example. Another example would be Ahimsa, which is that first yama, meaning non-harming. Some people translate it to mean non-violence. I really like non-harming better. So non-harming, it could be non-harming in your speech, so not speaking unkindly to other people, not speaking unkindly to yourself as well. It could be non-harming in the way of, some people take it as far as eating vegan maybe for the week. I don't want to harm any animals, so this week only, maybe I go vegetarian. The following week, maybe I just go back to eating meat. But maybe during the non-harming week, you eat vegan for the week. And that also piggybacks on to purity as well, because then you're purifying your body. So if you think about it, there are so many ways in which you can take one of those principles, living it off the mat for just a day, 2 days, or maybe an entire week, and then you rotate that. And what that does is it gives you the mental discipline to carry out yoga practices, again, beyond the mat, but practices that are going to help you have some roots in this chaotic world, because so much of what we live today is in the ethers, is in the space, it's in the air, it's over the airwaves, it's over the space waves. We're not really so grounded on the physical earth anymore because we're in our heads a lot. Our phone calls us to be in our heads. The internet calls us to be in our heads. So when we're communicating with others via text or email, or when we're looking something up on ChatGPT, for example, we're in our head spaces. We're not physically feeling our bodies being here rooted on earth. Now, the other thing, something like Shaucha, purity of mind, purity of body, or even Ahimsa, non-harming, can bring to you are those moral and ethical boundaries, as well as the personal observances. For example, it's very, very easy on social media to be nasty to people, to be skeptical and not nice, to make poor comments. And even if you don't make poor comments on social media posts or social media videos, but maybe saying it in your head, like getting negative in your head, or inversely, when you see something great on social media, you feel jealous and you feel inadequate, and then you're harming towards yourself with unkind words. Or maybe you're just measuring yourself up to the other person that you see on Instagram that has a seemingly perfect life. And then you're comparing, and those harmful energy waves coming towards yourself are making yourself feel bad. So as you're using one of the Yamas, Niyamas, or even doing Pranayama for a week, which means you're practicing the breathing techniques every single day of that week, but even taking them and then applying them not only to your external world, but applying them as well to your internal world, you'll begin to habituate those practices, which means if you do it time and again, rotating through the weeks, rotating the practices, even if you just take one per week, there are 10 Yamas and Niyamas total, and that's 2 of the 8 limbs of yoga. I consider that Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi really work as one unit. So that's really one other. So that would be 11. And then you have Asana, Pranayama, and Pratyahara, and that's 3. So that's 14. So consider this. In 14 weeks, you can cycle through the entire 8 limbs of yoga as a practice off the mat and then start it all over again. And when you do it this way, it becomes so ingrained in who you are. It becomes integrated into your person that now you have a sound structure for how to move through this world that is so disorganized, changing, chaotic, rapid, ungrounded. now you have something. You have something to move you through in a very real way that is self-directed. It's nobody telling you what to do, but it's a real way of finding something for you that is helping you become the person you want to become, the person you can be proud of, because these practices anchor you and move you towards yourself, as the word yoga means, right? It means the word to yoke, to join together, to bring together. And let me just say this finally. You might be thinking, hey, I practice yoga asana 3 times a week, or maybe you practice yoga asana 7 days a week. Here's what I want to say about that. There are many yoga asana practices that keep you ungrounded. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that many teachers of yoga, modern day philosophies of yoga, have transformed traditional yoga into an athletic and or competitive practice. And so in most gyms and in many yoga studios, the yoga asana you're practicing, while it might keep you fit as a fiddle, it's still leaving you ungrounded, because a lot of times it's about moving from one pose to another pose and these very erratic moves. And believe me, I've taken gym yoga classes. I know exactly what it is. And I've taken gym yoga classes in high-end gyms, the ones where you're paying $300 a month, and I've taken in regular gyms. The way it's taught today in gyms is really to keep it athletic. And so it's very disjointed, it's jarring, it's moving from one pose to the other. It's like you would be doing a headstand, then doing part of a sun salutation. Like there's no real thread to it. It's to keep it active, to keep your heart rate up. Maybe, I don't know. But a lot of times these yoga practices still keep us ungrounded. As I mentioned, they might keep your body fit, which is great. We want that. But as far as moving away from the chaos of the world, as I mentioned, how we're in such a fast-paced world right now, especially more than ever, it had been getting faster paced, believe me. Over the past several decades, it had been getting faster and faster and faster. But I believe in the recent years, the more we're on the internet, the more information comes to us at a rapid rate, the more consumers are asking for these very fast forms of video and audio and information, the more ungrounded we become, really. And couple that with abandoning traditional religion, those communities that keep us grounded and rooted and close tied and close knit to real people in our real world, it just leaves us feeling a little bit lost, not only ungrounded, but a little lost and chaotic and nervous, and thoughts are flying everywhere. And when you can embrace a practice that has been around for many hundreds of years, if you can embrace a practice like that and you already trust the concept of yoga because you've been taking some yoga classes, if you can already trust the concept of yoga, then extending beyond yoga philosophy and living those 8 limbs of yoga off the mat is super helpful as a practice just to ground you, to make you love yourself more, to feel more expansive, to feel more productive, because disciplinary practices make us feel more productive. It makes us feel accomplished. We have a sense of accomplishment, because if you take one of the 8 limbs of yoga and practice it for a week, by the end of that week, you're going to feel so accomplished. Like even if it's purity, Shaucha, by the end of that week, not only is your body going to feel pure, but your mind is going to feel pure, and you're going to be so proud of yourself. So I hope you take this to heart. I'm really passionate about this if you haven't noticed. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this with other yogis and yoginis, yoga teachers, yoga teacher training programs. Thank you so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can buy one of my 12 published books. You can join my meditation course. All the links are below. And I will see you in the next video.